Hi, I'm Ollie Kenchington, and the purpose of this tutorial is to show you how quick and easy it is to use a Xrite color checker to balance your shots. Before I get into using the color checker side inside Resolve, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of custom white balance in camera. When you're working on a project where colour is critical and you want to give your colourist the most accurate image you possibly can, it makes sense to spend that little bit of extra time, and we're talking sort of seconds really, just to create a custom white balance. The thing about a grey card like this is spectrally flat. It's exactly reflecting the same frequencies of light that are hitting it. So I know that it's a neutral grey. I have a small HD monitor hooked up to this camera, and what I actually do is I use its overlay waveform scope. Now, one of the cool things about that is where you get equal amounts of red, green and blue, the scopes will line up and they'll actually go white. And so a spectrally flat grey like this should appear, if my white balance is set correctly, as a white bar across my waveform monitor. It takes seconds, 20 seconds at the absolute most. I think it's worth learning how to do that. Now, assuming you've white balanced your camera, I'm going to try and show you how to manually use the hue versus hue and hue versus sat controls inside DaVinci Resolve to create a definitive balanced image. And that's something that's worth its weight in gold, I think, particularly when you're using multiple cameras. Because I can line them up exactly in my vector scope, you go from ballpark to just a level of precision you've probably never had before. And it's a relatively painless experience. So let's see how we get on inside Resolve. Okay, let's get this open up inside Resolve. First thing that I'm going to do is just click over to a new version. So I've got a previous version that I've done already. Here's version 2, which is from Fresh. And I'm going to go and use my primaries to set my contrast first. Now, the black chip on the chart is going to help me set the black level, which should be at 0 IRE. My highlight point actually in this shot is my bald head. Something that affects us baldies an awful lot in the sunshine, I'm afraid. As I wasn't actually in the shot when I was trying to expose the shot, I missed that one. It's actually not that far out, so I've managed to pull it back in a bit. Now, in terms of overall contrast, I think that kind of gets me ballpark. I'm now going to use this power window just to mask off the chart. I'm going to use the highlight control once I've got this mask set to isolate off just the color chips, the saturated color chips on the right. Now, using the highlight button, that should isolate that. So the idea is that we want to get these color chips in the right area on the vector scope. So we're sort of ballpark. I'm just going to kind of arbitrarily increase the saturation. That will sort of get us somewhere roughly near where we're going. Now, this is quite an arbitrary move at the moment, but we're going to get far more specific now. So as we go into the hue versus hue, you'll notice that I have these primary and secondary chips that line up perfectly on the vector scope and in the chart. So I just click these, that adds my control points on the primaries, and I just move them up or down depending on whether I want to move them clockwise or anti-clockwise around the vector scope. And I'm just trying to point them at the coloured boxes that represent those primary and secondaries. Now, in the hue versus sat, I'm doing the same thing. I want to move up to add saturation to a chip or down to move the saturation lower. And I'm just pushing and pulling and trying to get it so the overall saturation between these colours is consistent. Now, it needn't be exactly falling in the middle of the box. In fact, this one I'm just going to add a quick Bezier handle onto, because actually the green and cyan have got quite a big overlap in terms of the saturation they require. So we'll get better results using one control point with a Bezier handle. You need to go back and forth, back in hue versus hue, just to tweak these, because as the saturation increases, it becomes more obvious if they're falling towards or away from the box they should be headed towards. But that looks about right to me. They're along the right hue, and the saturation is consistent around the vector scope.
Now if I go and turn off my mask, zoom back out, we pretty much are there. Don't forget I arbitrarily increased the colour boost and saturation before, so let's go back and just get those back where they look good. Just falling equally around the vex scope. You can see here a before and after, just using Alt-D to toggle this on and off. And basically that's my basic primary grade done. Given that this whole process only takes 5-10 minutes tops, I can actually have all of these cameras balanced and get the look that I want as a base grade in Resolve on my laptop on set, generate the LUT, get it loaded into my monitor, and I can actually use a monitor LUT to see the image basically with my primary grade in place as I'm shooting. That's possible because of the color chart and because of the speed of this manual process. So hopefully you've learnt everything you need to know now to get the best results out of any color chart that you use. And thanks very much for watching.